had previously said that you thought that you would have won. Since then, Donald Trump won all the battleground states and made inroads with almost every major demographic, from working class voters to Hispanic men to black men.
It was it wasn't a slam dunk, and so the benefits. How do you lead the world without having the best infrastructure in the world? How do you lead the world without having the best health care in the world? How do you lead the world without having the best education system in the world?
A number of books that have come out, deeply sourced from Democratic sources, that claim in your final year there was a dramatic decline in your cognitive abilities.
You know, one of the things that well,
and Alyssa, you know, one of the things I think is that
guys, we got to talk about this delusional fool, Dementia Joe, a.k.a. Sleepy Joe, a.k.a. Crooked Joe, the guy who can't stop falling up the stairs, down the stairs, can't speak. That guy, Cadaver Joe, 5.5 feet in the grave, Joe Biden. This guy is still coping and making ridiculously stupid excuses, saying that he would have beat Donald Trump in the 2024 election, and that only reason Kamala Harris didn't win is because of racism and misogyny. He's blaming the wide open border and the whole border crisis on Donald Trump, even though Trump didn't pass any legislation and fixed it immediately. He's still coping, making excuses, and making a fool of himself. And you just got these cackling hens just sit up there just like they're in love with this old behind fart. So maybe it's because they're such old hags. I mean, maybe they do have more in common than I thought. But without further ado, let's go ahead and react to this coping session.
It's Joe Biden.
yeah.
Why did he even come out looking like he came out looking old, bro? So, I mean, is Trump welcome on the show, or?
I'm actually interviewing for a job as a cameraman, but
Bro, you can't barely understand what the hell he's even saying.
Why do you think the vice president lost, and were you surprised?
I wasn't surprised, not because I didn't think the vice president was the most qualified person to be president. She is. She's qualified to be president of the United States.
Is this why he said he was going to pick a woman automatically way before he ever even picked Kamala Harris, and she just so happened to be in the right place in the right time in order to get the position? Because, I mean, when you make that sort of declaration, you're automatically taking away credibility from the individual in terms of actually earning it, rather than saying from the beginning that you're going to pick the most qualified person, which is absolutely not what Joe Biden said.
America. But I was surprised. I wasn't surprised because they went the route of the sexist route, the whole route. I mean, this is a woman. She's this. She's that. I mean, it really. I've never.
I mean, I think calling somebody dumb isn't a sexist thing. Joe Biden, you're dumb. It was dumb to open the border. Is that sexist too, to call you a little dummy? Or should we just pull our punches because we don't want to hurt the poor vice president's feelings?
Being quite as successful and a consistent campaign, undercutting the notion that a woman couldn't lead the country, and a woman of mixed race.
Yeah.
And they played that to a fairly well. In addition,
so, reminder, this is a view, so I do have to chop this up and interrupt. But when did Trump or any politician say, "Hey, you sure you want a woman running, much less this Indian lady"? When did you see or hear anyone saying that? Now, were people making jokes about her on the whole, like non-politicians? Sure. Were people calling her dumb or stupid or slow? Yeah, because she is.
Trump won all the battleground states and made inroads with almost every major demographic, from working class voters to Hispanic men to black men. Knowing what you know now, do you think you would have beat him?
yeah, he still got 7 million fewer votes.
Yes.
There you go. Okay. A lot of people didn't show up.
Well, look, not Sonny Huston being a cheerleader over here. Let's not forget that there's a reason why they forced his ass out of the election and why he was only able to win this pandemic mail-in ballot election. The most secure election in United States history is the one where you mysteriously get all of these votes and a bunch of people mysteriously fail to show up again.
Number one. Number two, they're very close in those toss-up states. It was it wasn't a slam dunk. is that we talk, you guys don't focus on as much, and I think it's good, on polling numbers, but let me put it this way. He's had the worst 100 days any president's ever had.
Yeah, that's a fact.
And I would not say honesty's been a strong point.
Yeah. Well, Mr. President, some have even argued that leaving the race and endorsing your Vice President Harris, hampered her campaign.
Well, you know,
What do you say to those critics?
I say, number one, that there were still 6 full months. She was in every aspect, every decision I made, every decision we made.
Yeah, this is the main reason I think that she lost. Ain't no racism, misogyny, and all this crap. It's because people knew who Kamala Harris was. They knew she was there. It's not because they didn't know her. It's because they did know her and they didn't want to vote for her.
And I don't think, I hope I didn't sound the wrong way. The strongest economy in the world when we left. That's not hyperbole. That's a fact.
Yeah, and some of the highest prices in the world, too.
Created more jobs in one term than any president has in American history. I mean, so...
Bounce back jobs from the pandemic, and they're still taking credit for that, which is a very strange flex.
Not because negative. I mean, it was... anyway, as they say in Southern, we've done pretty good.
We're back with former President Joe Biden.
A number of books that have come out, deeply sourced from Democratic sources, that claim in your final year there was a dramatic decline in your cognitive abilities. In the final year of your presidency, what is your response to these?
You definitely didn't need a book to tell you that. All them people are a bunch of liars who are trying to cover it up anyway.
These allegations are these sources wrong?
They are wrong. There's nothing to sustain that, number one. Number two.
What about that report that's coming out that the Democrats tried desperately? Remember the audio that's supposed to release from when they were trying to nail him on the classified documents that he withheld? You know, the same thing they tried to lock Trump up for doing, where they said Joe Biden was too old to do the same thing.
We found ourselves unable to deal with a lot of just basic issues. And, you know, one of the things that well,
and Alyssa, you know, one of the things
Look, Jill's coming in to rescue. She's coming in to rescue.
Is that the people who wrote those books were not in the White House with us. Joe worked every single day. I mean, he'd get up, he'd put in a full day, and then at night
You mean the same thing that everybody who has any job on earth does?
You live it 24 hours a day. That phone can ring at 11 o'clock at night or 2 in the morning.
I mean, this is kind of how any tough career is. Anybody out there with like a real career where you're probably hopefully getting paid a lot of money? Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how it is. It's like life dedication. I mean, you guys think these YouTube videos get made like in the middle of work days? Like, no, this is all night to 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes no sleep at all doing YouTube videos. I'm not saying that the presidency is like easier than a YouTube video content creator, but I'm just saying in terms of these hours, Jill, this sounds pathetic.
Major Democratic donor Chuck Schumer, your dear friend Nancy Pelosi, also had expressed concerns about your ability to do the job for 4 more years.
Well, look, I think that the only reason I got out of the race was because I didn't want to have a divided Democratic Party.
Nah, he got out of the race because that money dried up and then people forced him out. And it had nothing to do with a personal choice. Without money, he could not win. Let's not pretend like without money, Joe Biden could win. He could not. That's why he got out of the race. He's doing the same thing that he's always done his entire career ever since he got into politics. Lie.
I think that, you know, we still, let's put it this way, I had 6 more months.
Well, you know what freaked everybody out was that debate.
Fact.
It wasn't a great night. It was a bad night.
Terrible night.
And everybody lost their mind.
Yep.
Because, of course, no one has ever had a bad night when they were. Nobody tries to have a bad night. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. How do you think it's supposed to be funny? Whoopi Goldberg, you're making it worse. A bad night. That was a horrible night. That was worse than bad. That was a slam dunk. That was one of the best nights of my life. Everybody who wanted Sleepy Joe to lose was happy as hell on that night. That was so glorious. And I bet the Democrats, like Whoopi Goldberg's goofy looking butt, was melting down on that night. I wish I could have seen her stupid face on that night.
Both sides with this, oh, he can't do this needs to stop.
The Democratic Party at large didn't buy into it, but the Democratic leadership and some of the very significant contributors did, even though we raised enormous, like when
Boom, he finally missed the truth. All about the money, baby. All about the Benjamins. Always is.
I'm going to say something outrageous. I've not lost many debates in my life. I've been pretty good at doing that. I was sick.
Cap.
We all saw it. It was terrible. And so Joe looked at me and he said, I'll use screwed up. He said, he didn't say that. And I said, yeah.
We all know Joe Biden. We know what he said.
And we were not going to let 90 minutes of a debate define his presidency and all those years of service.
Well, Dr. Biden, I do want to ask you.
This is the biggest coping session I've ever seen. The whole purpose of the debate is to do a showcase. Imagine I do this YouTube channel for years and everybody's just watching me like, yeah, this guy's awesome. You know what he's talking about, blah, blah, blah. I show up to some debate and I get demolished, then I'm going to look like a complete loser. It just is what it is. That is going to be the reflection. That's your chance. You shine at that moment. Otherwise, all that other stuff is null and void. And you failed.
It's been reported that you created a sort of cocoon around him and kind of limited his interactions with the media and others. Do you think you could have been too close to the situation?
So I saw him all throughout the day, and I did not create a cocoon around him. I mean, you saw him in the Oval Office. You saw him making speeches.
She's literally saying that she was with him constantly, effectively admitting to having this cocoon while simultaneously denying it.
Yes, it was very hurtful. It was very hurtful, especially from some of our so-called friends.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Look.
If they're friends, why would they say that? Maybe they were trying to help your stupid butts, because if you wouldn't have did this, you probably would have won.
But do you take any responsibility for not hearing the concerns of voters on the border security or cost of living sooner? And do you take any responsibility for Trump's reelection?
What did Trump do? He got on the telephone and he called Republicans, do not support it. It's legal, it'll work, it'll make Biden look good, don't do it.
So, if all of this is true, then how come the second that Donald Trump becomes president, all of a sudden the border's secure? There's no legislation that passed. He just won as president, and all of a sudden the border's secure again, and we don't have these problems anymore. So Sleepy Joe is openly admitting that he's incompetent and that he basically opened the border up and he needs a bill to close it. This guy, does anybody even believe what this fool is saying? I mean, apparently some people do, because I know some dum-dums, but it doesn't make sense. All you got to do is put two brain cells together, which everybody has literally billions of them, and you would know that this doesn't make any sense at all.
It's a criticism.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? I ran as an ad.
That was good.
Yeah, but my point is that I thought he'd say, no, I brought you this.
Guys, this was just pathetic. I'm not even gonna belabor this point. Do you guys think that Joe Biden still would have won if he would have kept running in the race? Do you think racism, misogyny played any role in Kamala Harris's loss? Do you, like, for example, does that technically mean that it would be impossible for a woman to win, much less a woman of color in America? I mean, Barack Obama won. No excuses there, right? So he won not once, but twice. But anyway, guys, let me know what you guys think. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I appreciate y'all watching The Black Anomaly Rising. I'm out.
The benefits. How do you lead the world without having the best infrastructure in the world? How do you lead the world without having the best health care in the world? I ran as an ad.
That was good.
Yeah, well, but my point